All right, welcome everyone to today's webinar on our SMSF Foundations course and how you can build your knowledge with the SMSF Foundations course. And this is a course that has been hugely popular over the last 18 months or so from a broad spectrum of professionals, whether they are starting out, whether they are somewhere along the journey as a more broader practitioner, whether they are auditors, whether they are accountants, whether they're financial planners. David, this course has certainly attracted a wide variety of people, and the feedback has been it's hugely beneficial for people working in the area of SMSFs.
Yeah, especially those who are new to the super industry and starting off in a firm. And it really starts the journey of knowledge and then being able to apply that in their particular roles that they're suited for.
All right, so what are we going to cover today, just to give you some sort of outline? First and foremost, we'll obviously give you some information about the course. Most importantly, from there, who it's relevant for, who our target market is, the key benefits of that target market. We'll explore the structure and the duration that we've set up in respect to the course. Naturally, you want to know what CPD you get from that. We'll then spend some time, as I mentioned up front, we'll go in and we'll navigate our Smarter SMSF platform through our learning area for you to see the course and understand how to navigate your way through it, and most importantly, get the most out of the completion of that course. We'll talk a bit about our pricing, obviously, some FAQs that we regularly see, a bit of a roadmap for the remainder of the year in respect to the course and our CPD training. And then what we also see is that ability beyond the course to naturally keep you up to date on what we have with our different CPD solutions. So let's get stuck into this. And first and foremost, our course as it currently stands is made up of 7 key modules. And they go through a process of helping you not only understand superannuation generally, but how SMSFs fit into that sector. And then we have a range of, I guess, more specific to SMSF topics when we look at investment rules and restrictions, we look at contributions, the payment of pensions and benefits more broadly, tax, statutory reporting responsibilities, and then the SMSF estate planning topic. So what happens from a content point of view is that we, through our regular CPD that we are running, we are then naturally going back into this material and updating it as and when we see fit. So a good example of this is quite clearly from the 1st of July 2022, there are a range of measures that are being introduced by government that are predominantly going to be impacting module 3, but there is a broader number of modules that these also impact. So what we will be, and what I'm working on as we speak, is a range of changes that keep you up to date. And that is very much what this is about, and why we see people not only use it to upskill themselves, but utilize it as a tool to keep themselves well resourced on many of the topics that they go through and cover each and every day inside their practice and them as a practitioner themselves. So David, I don't know if there's anything else you'd wanted to add here just around the course outline itself.
No, there is, which we can show a little bit later in the prezzo, a course outline in detail if you're wanting to know more in the breakdown of each of those modules. We do have information on that.
Yep, and quite clearly the learning outcomes as well.
Yep.
So I guess who is it? Who do we build this course for? So from our point of view, it was a very specific targeted group initially, with those that were in what we would refer to as beginner through to intermediate knowledge on SMSFs. So up to 3 years of experience as an SMSF practitioner, but it also captures those that want to generally upskill themselves inside the area of SMSF. So we have a broad range of general practitioners that go across superannuation as just one part of the services that they provide to their clients. And it comes back to that currency of core knowledge that they want to ensure that they are on top of all of the changes that have occurred, whether it be through contributions, pensions, and the like. The other thing that we see, and we've done a lot of work with TOA Global in this space, is the development of offshore teams with a CPD solution. We also have auditors, again, larger scale businesses that may be looking to deploy offshore teams to help them get through that work. So again, we work with a number of firms in that regard to get those team members up to a certain level to be able to do the work that you need to be able to do with them. And the other one there, of course, is for new staff members and the onboarding of those staff members. And we've got an example, I guess, of what we're seeing in that, in particular, new staff member process, of that uptick that people get just simply by slotting this into that initial induction process over their first 3 or 6 months of a new individual coming on board in your practice. I guess, who is it not suitable for? We do build this out, obviously, to a specific level of SMSF knowledge. So if you're a specialist already, this certainly isn't designed for you specifically, but we do quite often see, say, a financial planner, and they might not necessarily have strong tax knowledge. So the ability to tap into the course and look at the taxation of SMSF's module, which is about 5 hours worth, these sort of things are quite common as well, where they may be used for a refresher rather than necessarily going through for the CPD. And I guess what we don't advocate this course being for is that quick fix for outstanding CPD hours. I guess we get plenty of phone calls, David, at the death knell of 30 June saying, what can I do? What can I do to fill up 25 hours of CPD or whatever it is? And I mean, sure, you could do it, but you know, this is not really the mechanism to do it. Why have we built it? We've built it on what you can see at the bottom of the screen here. The key benefit in this is to give you a resource inside your firm, knowing that firms in a lot of instances are time poor in particular in the onboarding and or upskilling of team members. And therefore, having this e-learning course, so that allows you to work through at your own pace in your own time, allows for that firm and the people responsible for employees coming in and to be able to support them. This is a huge relief for a lot of the managers that we speak to, because they then move from being a trainer themselves into a mentor, far more mentoring type role, when the staff members come back to them and say, well, I just went through the contribution rules. I get this and this, but I'm not sure on this. Can we sit down and help understand it? And it's that acceleration, as I said before, we'll kind of show you what we've seen as a trend through the, I guess, the use of the course over the last 18 months or so. So David, anything else you wanted to just add in there?
Yes, Aaron, there are no formal entry requirements into the course.
Yep.
And if you've perhaps a couple of extra little examples of someone who's commencing a role as a administrator, perfect for them. It could be a trustee, and you've already mentioned an accountant or advisor expanding into the SMSF environment.
Yep. So benefits, quite clearly, it's all around knowledge, you know, getting yourself up to speed. So successfully being able to undertake that SMSF work that's needed, naturally being built by myself as a specialist, but others naturally involved in the process that are also of that SMSF specialist level. We also see flexibility here as being key to the course. There are very few out there that give you that true self-paced e-learning experience. So this is not a series of webinars that you would watch. As you'll see once we log in, this is a far more, this is a true e-learning experience in terms of you have combinations of video, audio, written materials, allowing you to work through to certain stages, interactions throughout the modules, and then naturally assessment at the end of those as well. The other thing that we pride ourselves on at Smarter SMSF is being here to help you. So the access to support, and again, David will show you as we go into the modules to show you where you can get in contact with us through there, and then how we can then obviously come back to you with any questions quite often we'll get someone saying, oh, I thought this was the answer. Can you tell me why it says it's wrong? And we'll simply go back and explain that and naturally help you to understand that issue further. And from a CPD point of view, as it currently stands, it applies for up to 21 CPD hours based upon successful completion of the modules, which naturally you would be watching, you'd be reading the workbooks and completing the assessments that go there with that. David, I might get you to just maybe work through some of this course structure and duration as well.
Alrighty. Yeah, looking through those points there, it's certainly for new staff members or existing practitioners. We've covered briefly the 7 modules, which we'll look at live in a bit more detail.
Yep.
It's important that you log in, and it is remote access at certainly your own pace. So you do get a login. You have the choice of little reminders from us to keep up a particular pace. You don't let it sort of slide a little with other life distractions.
Yep.
I'd rather not have somebody contact me saying, I've only completed 4 of the 7 modules. Can you give me a bit more time? That's usually the common occurrence. Yeah, 21 hours of accredited CPD. That is acknowledged with the accounting fraternity, also TPB and ASIC as well. It is definitely an interactive, validated learning. So you actually, within each of the slides, you have, I've actually don't know another course where you've got someone moderating the course, and it's actually Aaron. So that helps with the resources that you have at your fingertips, i.e. a workbook, to take notes and learn from. There's mini quizzes built within. So there's to test your learning along the way, as well as short quizzes at the end of each module. There is certainly a certificate of completion structured with a number of knowledge areas. And you've got the ability to, if you're using this as a number of others who have gone through the course, as a resource library, you have the option of keeping the course open beyond the 4-month time limit for up to a year. So if you need to go back and look at resources or log on to the course again and type in a particular word or a topic I'm trying to think of if you're trying to find an answer to something, you can do so. Instead of looking at the ATO website, you can dive back in here and find the particular piece of legislation or the theory to apply with the outcome of what you're trying to produce.
Yeah, and David, that's a really good example of, like we're going through and doing changes at the moment in respect to the contribution rules. So we will see a number of students kind of revisit that module to understand what those changes are. And naturally, the workbook is updated. There are links that will be updated to rulings and other things that people would have access to through that particular module. Now, some of those that completed it beyond 4 months ago naturally wouldn't get access to that, but those that have it as a resource can go back in and we would be advising people of the change. And it's probably a good time. I might just quickly duck over to the second screen here, because what we do have is a change log whereby what you can see on here is any changes that we make year on year allow or get updated in a change log. So once these changes are released in July, we will have a change log here that will go through and outline for users what has been updated so that you can go and see those changes and work out, say, for example, if you're using it as a resource, you can go in and go, actually, I'm across all that stuff in module 1. I don't need to worry about that. Oh, but module 3, geez, there's been a lot that's changed there. I think it's going to be worth my while going through that again.
And that's important that when you actually get your login, that you confirm your email address, because we're going to send you information ongoing. It's not just the initial login to get your email confirmed, so we can send you the newsletters and the change logs.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, let's keep moving on. I won't bore you too much with the detail of the assessment and award, but in essence, this is how those modules have been mapped As David mentioned earlier, we do have CPD awarded for the major accounting bodies with the SMSF Association, as we are an accredited educator with them. And then also for FASEA purposes, for those that have requirements under FASEA and or ASIC purposes. David, I guess the student journey is an important one, and we spent a lot of time, sort of enhancing that, I guess, from when I first started and built this out to you coming on board and then speaking with students, not only at the very beginning and even before they begin, but the beginning and thereafter. So a bit of an explanation, I guess, to take people through what they can expect when they sign up to the SMSF Foundations course.
So they've had a discussion with myself or somebody else in the team, and they've come to the conclusion, yes, I want to enroll with the course. So they will go to the Smarter SMSF website, create a login, purchase the course. I will be aware of that generation of the login, make sure that the email arrives. It will default to your junk box more times than not. So find that, and then, as I said, to confirm your email address, so things go directly to you. Once you've got your email and your confirmation login, you can go and log into the course. Attached, as you can see, there's a sample there on the screen of that email with the login details, and also to get yourself up and running. And that is through a course workbook that actually takes you through login to getting through to the module and the navigation of the resources and external links to support the learning and the material that's presented.
So David, should I show people the user guide that we have here as well? So as you were just talking about then, we have, so as part of this, I guess, initial journey and the information that you get there, we send you through to our knowledge base, which is, as David says, has an entire course user guide. So you recognize
it's actually
that
a resource in itself.
Yes. So it gives you all of the information and steps you through, I guess, what to naturally expect.
So I was a bit of a novice when it came to the course, and I thought, well, no time like a quiet time of the year, which is usually the beginning, to actually work through and step by step of you literally can't get lost, and it will take you through the major parts of the navigation, where to call for help, to contact us, and what to expect. It's pretty easy to follow, and hence, which is what the course is all about. It's wanting you to encourage you to actually learn. Learn is actually meant to be something that we might be a little bit more mature age students in undertaking this course. So there is no assignments in the course. I always get asked that question. It is all about just checking off your knowledge, that you're retaining that and being able to apply it with the role, or having the ability to resource bookmark even certain pieces of information that you can look up later when you, instead of going back to your manager to ask those questions, you've got that ability to resource the answer yourself. So there is that support guide. There'll be an email about how you want to either at your own pace, or you want to get a couple of reminders at the end of each month that just indicate, hey, how are you you're progressing. You've got the ability, as I mentioned, to extend that course beyond the 4 months to become a resource library. There will be feedback along the way. I might call you and say, how are you tracking? Or, things are going well. There may not be any activity, or you've completed the course relatively quickly. There's going to be surveys and things like that just to see how we can improve. So it's not just the learnings, but what else is out there that you want to expand on that you came across a particular topic.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get stuck into the reason why we're here and look at the course itself. So, David, I'm going to hand over to you here, and you can sort of point me through as you talk.
Now, if you can click on the dashboard, this is where you first log in. It will actually take you through to the dashboard, and you'll notice it will go from, you might arrive at a purple screen. Underneath the dashboard is a learn link, and now you're actually in something called the learning suite. All right, so it's gone green. If it doesn't default to anything on the screen, you'll see a Learn button underneath, and then click Courses. It will actually generate the foundation course, which you click on, and now you'll arrive at this screen. So yeah, there's that foundation course. You'll click Open. Usually it's the module you have, and you've arrived at module 1 as the default. There is a welcome video which you can listen to, just to set you with a bit of a helicopter view of which way to go. And then, as Aaron's just clicked on, there is the 7 modules underneath. So opening the first module, there's a navigation on the left-hand side, a layout. You can jump between the different modules, but realistically, start at the first one, progress to the second and onwards.
Yep.
As time goes forward, you have the ability to obviously go back into a module, and you can actually search for different topics and themes as well, which will take you to different modules, as Aaron's just done. So an SMSF or something to do with trustee or whatever it's called, it will actually give you the highlights of that particular word search within that module you're opened. So straight away, you can see how you can navigate through the slide through a play. It will start an audio. You're sitting at the Notes default tab. You can move your way through forward and backwards, turn the sound up, maximize the screen.
Yep.
And as I said, you've got a narrator on pretty much 80% of all the slides.
Yep.
So before you actually start to get into the module, I would recommend strongly you go to the Resources tab at the top of the screen and click on the module workbook, which is the default under every single module. That's going to open up to a PDF document. You can have, if you've got 2 monitors or 3 monitors, you can keep that open. You can print that off, add additional file notes from each of the slides and the narration. But that's something there that's tangible, and you can use that as a resource within your particular role. So it will have all sorts of references, yeah. So you can you can keep that open at the same time as the actual course. You can move through the slides. We're at slide 6 to 28. We're talking about that little test of knowledge along the way. So it is interactive. The course workbook actually has the answers and the questions. So not to look at the bottom of the module of the guide before attempting the questions clearly, but yeah, it's just there to it's all about enjoying the learning experience basically, and it is pretty easy to follow, and it's under the theme of what we're all about as SMSF.
So David, the other thing I was just going to say, so from, as I think you said before, but just to reiterate, each module has its own workbook. So if you want to get all of the workbooks out of all the modules, you need to go in to each module. And then, as David said before, the default first item that you will see is the workbook itself. So there may be glossary of terms, abbreviations, and some other things. We obviously incorporate rulings. We incorporate sample documents from our Smarter SMSF platform to help you understand how a certain situation may also need to be documented.
Yeah. Back at module 1, as a further of what expansion of what Aaron's just mentioning there, the abbreviations are pretty handy, especially if we're new to the SMSF environment. Under notes and abbreviations, there's a whole list. You don't need to, highlight things in a workbook. You can print that out and have that as a guide as well, or pick it up, put it on the board in front of your desk. Other things there you can see, especially particularly in module 1 under those resources. There's a whole lot of other links that you can bookmark and go back to even beyond the completion of the course. So it's going to really cement your knowledge. And expand, a whole lot of areas of the super and SMSF area that, you're not always going back to your manager going, I can't remember what this is about. With all the samples that are presented, when you have a real case to work through, you can go back here as a resource, see the example case studies, and then apply that to a real life scenario.
Yep.
Okay.
David, what about questions? If people have a question along the way?
There is, well, you've got, you can find my email from the original contact, but also there's within the a ticketing system, an email to our website, as Darren's just clicked on there. It will open up the ability to go to the website. Obviously, you can write an email into defaults to support, which will create a ticket. So if something's missing, you've run out of time, all those sorts of scenarios that come about, you can put a question through, or as we've recently had at I think it was module 6, someone wasn't sure of the answer, and they wanted clarification on their answer. So they contacted us through this particular channel, and we wrote back and gave an explanation of how it came about with the result of that particular answer of that the question.
Yep. And it might be, it's quite often with those, trying to get an explanation, that support ticket that comes through, it may be written form, but it's quite often I'll just record a quick 2-minute audio response. So it'll be, hi, John, in respect to the quiz question here, the thing that you've missed out on in respect to this particular topic is that the bring forward period, for example, was only 2 years rather than 3 years because the individual's total superannuation balance was 1.48 million to 1.59 million. So yes, you thought it was a 3-year period because it was on to 1.7. What you have forgotten to also think about here was the TSB value. So very quick and succinct from our point of view, but it just, again, gives you a bit more of a personalization in the response. And if there are any other references that we want to take you back to, we'll naturally include that in the response to you as well. But so the ticketing system is something that we do hang our hat on a lot, predominantly because we want to make sure that we are getting back to everyone as promptly as we possibly can, and we make sure that we can close off every inquiry that naturally comes through to us as well.
Also, if we're looking at our clock right now, we've run out of time, so we have not the court what we're presenting. But if you're sitting here as a student and you go, "Well, I've got to pick up the kids from school," or it's the end of the day, I've got a meeting, I've got a client coming in, you can save your progress.
Yeah.
All right, you don't have to sit here and go through the whole module in one go. So once you've exited, log back in, it will return, and you're going back to where you've left off. It will actually ask that question.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
do you want to continue
on the screen right now?
Yep.
So
yep.
that it'll pick up where you last left off, which is hugely valuable. Obviously, if you're not sort of keeping track of that on an ongoing basis. So
yep. Fully mobile responsive. You don't have to be at a desk. You could be, on waiting for an aeroplane somewhere, and you can link through to the course. And as I said, you've got a narrator, so you can actually listen to the course as you go through each of the slides.
Yep.
Okay. We can't get any sound, so that's okay.
That's right. No,
that's
it won't work.
That's okay. All right.
Only I can hear that.
Yep.
Which doesn't help anyone else. And I don't want to listen to my voice.
Nothing further to the assessment.
So the other
most
thing,
important.
is so you can sort of step through the lessons here as you go through, and then David, just around the assessment itself.
So the assessment, once you've completed the particular module, there's a quiz, and you do get 2 attempts. If you've made some notes, it's easy to get the answer. Is not going to get 100% all the time. So the quiz will vary. It could be 5 questions, it could be 8 questions, it could be 10 questions. Obviously, the length of time allocated to those series of questions is going to vary as well. But if you like to start the quiz, you can get an idea of an example, and you can look back through your notes, and it's true or false or multi.
Yep. Yes. So we allocate 2 minutes pretty much per question, and as David was saying before, what occurs is the number of questions in a module is going to be dependent upon the length of time that a module exists. So module 1, for example, is only up to a maximum of 90 minutes. So what we do is we have 5 quiz questions that must be completed within a 10-minute time frame. Now, we have a pool of questions that it randomizes. So we might have 9 or 10 there. So you're not necessarily going to get the same question repeat every single time. So conversely, if we looked at the taxation module, which is 5 hours, we have around 10 questions that must be completed. Naturally, you're going to get 20 minutes as opposed to 10 minutes there. And again, we have a greater pool of questions to work through that covers the different areas that we talk about in the specific topic. So there's no hard and fast number in respect to each assessment. They are dependent upon the length and duration of whatever that module that you're doing is for.
So in summary, it's pretty easy to navigate, to listen, it's interactive, and the quizzes aren't that daunting really. As I said, there's no major assignments of 2,000 words at the end of the course.
So I think so what's important as you work through, it will naturally tell you that you have progressed through and you have completed it. So you'll see this here. So you need to mark each of the modules complete as you work through. And once you have successfully completed all of these, and you can see on here as I expand these out, it will show you that we have successfully completed all of the particular modules and all of the particular assessments. And what that does is when you have completed that, we have this progress bar and recognizes that it is 100% complete, which now says that we've earned our certificate, and we can then naturally just go in and download that, which has all of the relevant information within it in respect to the completion of it and the mapping for the various hours and so forth. So very easy way for you to work through, and then naturally, once that has been successfully completed, it will issue you with your CPD certificate, awarding you the 21 CPD hours. All right, well, let's go back to the slides and just have a bit of a conversation about a couple of other things here. So I spoke earlier on just about what we have seen and we are commonly exploring with people that are utilizing the course. And what we've found, and again, this is the feedback, and Doug here, BGL is one of our clients, so their entire support team is someone that regularly uses our course and uses it from an onboarding point of view. So where you have what I call manager-led training, and whether that's through an induction process or supporting staff, what we are finding, and this is feedback that we are getting from our clients, is that the benefit of course-led, where the manager becomes the mentor rather than the teacher, we find that there is a significant acceleration. Now, that acceleration is naturally going to be subject to the timeframes that you give the staff members to be able to put towards it, and towards the manager being available for it as well. But what we do know is that students get an accelerated learning outcome. And that means that they are far better equipped to do the job that they need to do, because they now have the knowledge that they can apply in respect to that scenario. So as I said, Doug here has said, and this is a common occurrence that happens within the BGL team. So they previously had the manager go through and do the specific training from within the BGL teams that got SMSF knowledge. But for them, it feels like they've gained a month than what they were previously doing to onboard in particular, their support team members to be able to support people like you that are BGL's clients. So the measurements of the knowledge gain is something that we see as hugely beneficial. So whether you're doing it yourself and the benefit that you are going to provide your employer, or whether you are the employer or manager within that employer, and the benefit that you will get yourself, which is this opportunity, measuring the opportunity cost, and how that will translate into increasing the productivity and efficiency of your clients. Because again, what we have on the flip side is that the fact that a manager has to be that teacher rather than the mentor means that there's more time involved in those first few months and potentially beyond to get that new team member or that team member up to speed in respect to what you need inside your firm. Whereas in this, again, on a course-led basis, it is going to give the manager back far more time. So if we have a manager maybe charging anywhere between $200 and $300 an hour on 21 hours, well, we're looking between $4,000 and $6,000 that is going to be gained back from a productivity point of view. So the focus then shifts from the manager being the entire teacher of all things at superannuation. Now the focus for them is pretty much on the job training. So applying the skills from the SMSF course. And I think I spoke about it earlier on where, I'm not sure in respect to this section that was talked about in the course, can we sit down for 20 minutes and show me how we need to apply it in a particular scenario? So rather than having to go through and spend multiple hours in a week, in a month and so forth, again, that shift changes. And naturally over time, there would be some sort of normalization between those processes. But what you are seeing is a huge initial benefit that you get from it that is pretty much 10 times what the cost of the course would be. And I think, David, you mentioned this when we were putting these slides together, just this autonomy that the student gets as well as a byproduct of going through the course.
Yeah, and if a manager or someone who's teaching, it's such a vast topic. There's going to be things missed. So through this course, which is pretty detailed, it's going to be covered, and then you can potentially go back and look things up if you wanted to find it as a resource. So it's that applied knowledge. It's opening up other time to other activities for managers, for the staff to then utilize those resources. And you can see there exactly what that gap between that black line and the green line is what this course is able to fulfill.
Yep. Yeah, and naturally then what we see is thereafter that we have ongoing CBD packages that will further entrench the knowledge and maintaining that currency, which is then going to naturally have a flow-on effect around time saving inside the practice and dependency naturally as well with other particular team members within the organisation. So from a pricing point of view, we have a range of options available here. So whether you're just looking to do the course ordinarily, I think David mentioned earlier on, you have 4 months in which you can work through that course to complete. Our most popular one is where we do combine the course and what is our annual add-on subscription. So you get a 10% discount up front if you buy those 2 things. And what that gives you is naturally ongoing access to the course. Whether we add modules, whether we change content within modules, if you have that, then you naturally get access to that for the duration of that subscription. And we do have a number of firms that have, or organizations that have a much larger, what we call enterprise level, where we can create bespoke training on an internal learning management system. But we also do see firms that might have 20 and 30 staff that are going through our SMSF Foundations course, and they're more than happy to be able to run people through our Smarter SMSF platform that you can see there. And David, I think this would be the timely thing to say that if you do have arrangements like that, we do then have the ability to engage with a key contact within that organisation around reporting, so how the students are actually going as well.
Yep, yeah. And I've got quite a number of firms where I actually produce a monthly report. It's a progress of each of the students, time logged into the course, modules completed, and quizzes attempted. And it's been very handy for each of the managers actually to perhaps motivate a few, but also it just gives them an overarch of, okay, where's everybody at? Because I don't know. And it's something to discuss in a team meeting, etc.
Yeah. So again, it's a little bit just in respect to that enterprise solution. So it really only makes sense once you're above sort of the 20 plus users. You do naturally get the information around changes that have been made and the white labeling that comes with it as well. So you may have seen our course more broadly in the marketplace with SMSF Advisor and Accountants Daily, which we do have a partnership with them. And naturally, as I said before, we work quite closely with BGL, where you can access the course through their Learning Centre, or also through TOA or the AB2 Institute, which their businesses sort of spun out a learning business in its own right. And again, the course is available through there. So David, maybe I'll fire these questions at you. And then if you want to do one for me, just to balance things out, I'm happy to do so. I might kick it off. Can more than one person access a single purchase of the course?
No, it is only for the one student, the one person only.
Yep. And most importantly, I think and this applies when we talk to people as well, David, with the CPD regular subscription as well, where people say, oh, well, you know, can I log in using it, or can we watch it together and so forth? We're not here to control how you deal with logins, but what happens is if you purchase one subscription, so one level of the course, whoever the person that has purchased the course for will be the only person that will receive the CPD certificate. So we're not here to control the behaviours of what happens internally within a firm, but the limitation here is that we will be only issuing and recognising CPD for the person that has completed it. And we've had scenarios where, you know, someone might be putting that training down. They may have used it internally, and someone else has been credited with it, and under an audit from a professional body, they may say, oh, well, has this person completed it? We can't validate that that has occurred because it wasn't in that person's name. So that is the risk that you run there. It is one for one. We do naturally have the ability for bulk buying, so discounted rates based upon volume. So if that is something that is important to you, you should naturally have a discussion with us.
So what was that? I can't remember now. What was how long was the course for? 6 months, was it, or
4 months? 4 months. So, and again, the benefit of the annual subscription update. So the other one, who do I contact if everyday distractions take hold? So I need an extension. I think you touched on that earlier on.
Yeah, we certainly we can accommodate people who've had, you know, distractions out there, so at home or in the office, and yeah, as long as they've actually started the course. Yeah. That's something you'd be surprised. Actually, somebody might do not even complete the first module, and then suddenly 1 week to go, can I get an extension? So we usually do give an extension, but we will monitor that extension.
Yeah,
yep.
Correct.
Yep.
Yep. I think we've spoken about the certificate of completion there, and also the course update. So again, we're going to be seeing a change there from July 2022. From an individual modules point of view, I think we'll touch on that in just a second. It has been a project to look at individualizing those for access. We're not far from having that available. And from a discount point of view, I think it does relate back to that first one there, whereby, yes, we do, based upon certain volumes. If you do want to look at it for multiple team members, please do so, because it's much more than just in registering in. I think, David, as you said before, you are talking with particular people within particular organizations to give them the reporting back that they need for different team members that are working their way through the course.
And look, if at the bottom there it talks about knowing more about each of the modules in a bit more detail, the course outline will take you through that. Yep. And I can either send that to you, or if you go to the Smarter SMSF website and create a login, you'll have access to the knowledge base, and you can find the course outline there.
Yep. So I guess a bit of what's ahead from our education standpoint for the remainder of 2022. I've touched on just briefly then about our modularization. and the fact that you'll be able to purchase those individually as opposed to as a course. I also touched on our module updates that are going through at the moment. We do have our SMSF days, so we are going back to face-to-face events from 14 July through to the 3rd of August. We are going to 5 capital cities around Australia. So if you haven't seen that yet, I suggest that you take a look at that, and hopefully you can attend one of those days. We have over 100 registrations or so now across the different locations, which is a fantastic response with sort of 6 weeks or so to go before our first one. We have a range of sessions that we run on our CPD calendar. So we have our specific technical training sessions each and every month, including our quarterly Changing Face of SMSF. But we are running, as is this one, a number of sessions to help you identify the different products that we have and then how they relate practically to the technical application of different topics. So, for example, the risks and costs of your own SMSF templates is one that's had a huge amount of interest. We ran earlier this year, and again, something that we'll be running again. We do envisage another couple of modules to be added, whether they're added into the suite here, to the course itself, or added in generally as modules. They relate to LRBAs and insurance. So whether we get both of those done this year, we're not sure, but we will definitely get at least one of those done. We also expect further updates in the start of around Q4. We are expecting a further federal budget with the now Labor Party in October, the last week of October 2022. And again, just make sure you're keeping up to date with these changes and what's going on. If you go to our events page on the Smarter SMSF website, you can either follow them on that page or you can download the CPD calendar, which we update each and every quarter. So David, I might get you to finish off here just beyond the course. So the natural next steps, once people have gone through and completed the course, what they may then have available to them through the Smarter SMSF platform.
It's all about maintaining then that knowledge. There are a number of CPD packages, a range of hours that suit. You may be sourcing your CPD from other areas, other organisations. That's okay. You can top that up with a 6-hour quarterly update. If you need something further across the knowledge areas, there is anywhere from 15 to 20 hours of CPD each year. So that will give you access to the learning suite and any and every CPD event that occurs, you'll be automatically enrolled. As Aaron's mentioned, from July and into the early part of August, face-to-face events within the calendar, a series of different webinars. Aaron just mentioned something about, it used to be all technical, and now we're moving into that zone of, well, there's the technical part. How do I get to apply that in my particular role? So there's that practical sense of a theme now of additional webinars. There's a number of blog posts. There's the newsletters. That's all a part of that ongoing communication. So once you've got your email linked, you'll get always a series of communications from us. So if you've got that extension of the course, if you're undertaking the course, you've completed the course, it's important to be informed about, well, I haven't got a CPD subscription, but that event looks good. I'll purchase a ticket to attend. So there's all sorts of options there. I can't encourage you enough to keep up to date with what's occurring, because that calendar is always shifting and evolving, in that we're adding extra events all the time. And that could be from feedback from someone in the course or someone from one of the webinar topics.
Yeah, and it's quite often, I mean, this is the advantage of being a practice-based business, that we can actually see the trends that are going on in the industry and then naturally look to the training and the content that you would need to go around that. So I guess thank you first and foremost for being a part of today's session. If you want to find out more about the course outline, how you can purchase a course as well, you can visit our website, smartersmsf.com/course, or I encourage you to get in contact with David, either by telephone or email, and he'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you about the suitability of not only our SMSF Foundations course, but our suite of packages as they may be relevant to you and your business. So I guess in closing, as I always say, smart people do learn together. Thank you once again for being a part of today, and to you, David. Unless anyone else has any other questions, we will leave it there. Let's have a quick squiz. Doesn't look like it. I might just stop the recording there.